Hey, hey, hey. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. It's Talk Tuesday and we're back. It's Talk Tuesday. Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 everybody. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. It's Talk Tuesday tonight and we're back. Where y'all been at? Huh? Where y'all been? I know. Talk Tuesday has been on a break, which we do take a break, but we took a little extra days. But I am glad to be back again. It is Talk Tuesday. Come on, please share. Please share this video. We have oh my gosh, we have a wonderful show tonight. And I am so excited. Hey, sis. That's sis and sister. My sister, my twin sister, and my sis. So we have an incredible show tonight. Again, I am so excited to be back on Talk Tuesday. It is 2025. New merch, new stories, dynamic guest. And so we are back. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I don't know. I always say that I'm nervous when I do Talk Tuesday, but when you hear these amazing stories of my guests that come on, you get a little nervous. But once you get started, I mean, it's just so awesome just hearing the testimonies, the stories, people's journey. Talk Tuesday, again, merch is conversations of inspiration, motivation and empowerment. Whether you are entrepreneur, you are a author, you want to come on to share your journey or your story or whatever you want to talk about, right? All are welcome on Talk Tuesday. And so again, always say I appreciate your support, coming on and supporting myself and my guests. I'll say it again. I thank God most of all for giving me the vision of Talk Tuesday. My publicist just snuck in the interview. I love him to death. But yeah, so again, I thank God we are on season 6. What? Season 6. We are on season 6, and um I'm so excited, y'all. I really, really am. I came home, rushed home, to get everything set up. Child, got me a new laptop. I'll be on that on the next Talk Tuesday. Yeah, so we got to upgrade a little bit again. I got new merch. If you want some, let me know. I thank God for Dr. Vaughn. Y'all know Dr. Vaughn is our regular on Talk Tuesday, and she does a phenomenal job with any type of merch that you want. So I just want to shout her out right now. Siobhan, your white hair, thank you so much, darling. But yeah, so listen, I'm not gonna keep you long. We're only on here just an hour, and we want to get into our guest. And excuse me for 1 second. So listen, Talk Tuesday live. Anything can happen, y'all. And so we want to get in and talk to our special guest tonight. Listen, I talked to my guests before they came on. We just got off talking and yapping our mouth, but I was like, listen, we got to save this for the interview because we was just sharing, and we was mostly sharing like the goodness of God and his miracles, and just the things that he provides for us. And you'll understand what I'm saying once we start talking to our guests. And so I want to thank her for accepting the invitation to come on Talk Tuesday. She is ready. Child, she looks beautiful tonight, as she do always. But she's coming on tonight to share her testimony. And I just want to make sure everything is set. Okay, I just got to do that one thing. Okay, we are set. So, I mean, if you have any comments or questions, you can put them in the comment. And especially any questions or comments for our guests. And so, listen, she's backstage. And so Um, our guest is a beautiful, beautiful woman, and our guest, I think we met, I believe, on social media. I believe that's how we met. And we also met through a passion of ours. She's a professional model, she's a fashion influencer, she's a survivor of an autoimmune disease. And we'll talk about that tonight. And so, listen, I'm getting ready to bring my guest on. And she's going to introduce herself, okay? But further ado, we are about to bring on, add to the stage tonight, Brittney.
Hi. Hi.
Everybody, this is our first guest of 2025. Um, Brittney. She's gonna introduce herself again. But Brittney, first of all, thank you. We appreciate you joining Talk Tuesday. We are excited. I'm excited. We were backstage just running our mouth and we were just talking about the goodness of the Lord, and we were just sharing with you. I say, Brittney, we gotta say that for the we have to say that for the interview. So
Right.
again, we appreciate you coming on Talk Tuesday tonight. So listen, again, we appreciate you all. I appreciate my regular viewers who come on. One of my she was a mentee mentor now. Thank you for joining, Takira. But we're gonna get started. And so again, our viewers have never met you before. So please tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Hello everyone. Good evening. My name is Brittney Booze. I am a professional model. I specialize in beauty, fashion, and runway. I met this beautiful warrior through the love of modeling and just watching her story. She inspired me, so I clicked the follow button. Um, and so I've been modeling for about going on 2 years now, and it's just been an amazing journey. So that's pretty much. Oh, I'm a mom of two.
Oh,
Okay, I have two little ones. I have a 3-year old and I have an 8-year old.
oh,
So they're boys, by the way, and they are a handful. But I am blessed. Okay, you hear me? So that's a little bit about me.
okay. Of course, I always read up on my hey boys, always read up on my guests just to get a little background, know a little bit more about them. And I do want to go into tell us a little bit about your childhood.
So I was unfortunately, I was abandoned when
Mm,
I was a newborn, and it ended up in the system at some point. And I went through the system for a little bit, foster care for a while, and I ended up with a beautiful lady who took me in. She adopted me. She changed my name. She gave me her last name, and she made me her own. Um, she's no longer with us. She passed away about a year ago. But she was all I knew. She literally came to the orphanage and got little old me. She chose me out of all the kids that was there and decided that she was going to love on me. And she wasn't perfect,
okay.
but she was mine.
Yeah.
So going through the system, I went through that. And then I ultimately ended up homeless at the age of 18. I went house to house for about, I want to say 2 or 3 years. I got
Mm,
pregnant with my first son, ended up in a shelter.
mm.
Stayed in the shelter for about 2 or 3 years, and by the grace of God, we are now stable.
Oh wow.
So
To
I
God.
went through some stuff for a little bit, but God said, "I got you. We got to go through some storms. Just weather with me, and I got you." So I am now stable. I have two beautiful boys, and we're no longer homeless. We've been stable for the past 2 or 3 years now.
That's awesome. Now, I know you said and thank God for the person that came, and God sent her to you.
Yeah.
Um, now being homeless, we know it's a big thing. Homelessness. Tell us what was that like? And we might have some viewers on here that may have a relative or maybe have even dealt with it themselves. Tell us about that ordeal. What was your thoughts? How did you feel? Did you ever think, oh, is everything going to be okay? Can I get out of this? Tell us your thoughts about that period in your life.
So I actually was kind of doing well on my own. I was renting a room for a little bit, and I got pregnant. And the landlord said, "Hey, look, You're pregnant, you can stay here as long as you are pregnant. But once the baby comes, you have to leave. Me being me, I said, God, I don't want to be out on the street with a newborn. So I started Googling shelters for women.
Okay.
And it was so scary because at the time, my child's father didn't really want the responsibility of having my baby. And so I didn't want to continue the generational chain of my kid ended up in the system. So I
Mm-hmm.
took it upon myself, if it meant me humbling myself to go into a shelter so that way he had stability, I was going to do that. And so I went into the shelter when I was about 8 weeks pregnant with him.
Mm,
And it was scary because I didn't really have anyone. You go into homelessness feeling um, abandoned like I did when I was younger. I
yeah.
felt alone. I felt scared. I had fear for my future because I didn't know what was going to be. I was scared for my kid because I was like, I didn't want him to go through the system. So I fought so hard for him not to be in the system. I did everything I could. I took parenting classes. I did
Oh,
everything that I could to be the best mother that I could be because I just didn't want that for him. But being in a shelter saved my life.
mm-hmm.
People think going into the shelter is the worst thing that can happen, but I think being on the streets probably would have killed me.
Okay. Okay.
Whether it was prostitution, getting on drugs, anything was possible when you're eager, you're hungry, you're
Yeah.
lonely. And so the shelter saved my life. And by the grace of God, I got into a shelter that was a Catholic shelter. And I'm not Catholic, but these women in this shelter knew who God was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we prayed. And every holiday, my kid had toys, and they donated so much stuff to the shelter. And so when people think about shelters, it's not a bad thing. It just depends on the shelter that you go into.
Yeah.
And so, my advice for anybody out there who is a woman who might be pregnant or mom, look for a shelter that specializes in just women
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and women and children because it'll help you gain a lot of skills that you didn't know, like parenting, and it's all for free.
Wow.
They did teach us life skills there. We had to pay rent. Of course, nothing is free.
Right.
We had to pay rent, but it taught us responsibility.
And life skills as well.
Come on now, life skills, being
Yeah.
a mama.
And one thing I like what you said was because I think oftentimes when you talk about a shelter and being homeless, of course, people feel ashamed. You
Yeah.
know, they feel like they didn't do enough or they didn't do this or they didn't do that. And I truly, truly believe, yeah, of course, no matter what we go through in life, God still puts a hedge of protection over us. Whether you, I mean, you're on the street, whether you're trying to get into a shelter. And this is the thing, which is one of my favorite scriptures, Jeremiah 29:11. Like God knows the plans, right? He knew he knew these circumstances was going to come, but oftentimes he has to show us, I want you to keep the faith. Like you said, you kept on fighting. You fought, and so that says a lot about you and the
Yeah.
circumstances you were in. You kept going. And so, we often look at people and we say, "Oh, they look nice." Because I told people before we came, I was like, "Listen, my guest, she's beautiful. She's she is ready for tonight." But we were talking backstage too that we don't look like what we've been through. We don't look like what we've been through. And and just reading your background, you've been through a lot. You've been through a lot. Listen, y'all, me and Brittany was backstage. We just kept talking. Like, Brittany, I gotta go. We gotta start. Wow. But
Yeah.
to go into my next segment, I had pulled some pictures of you,
Okay.
and I want to show our guest a few of your pictures. Like Brittany said, we met through social media. We met through modeling. But listen, if y'all go on her Instagram, Lord have mercy. That's all I gotta say. But I want to show a few pictures of you, Brittany. And so I want to discuss. Um, I always say there's a story behind the face. There's
Yeah.
I know I believe that everyone has a story to tell.
Hmm.
Has a story to tell, and I know. And we were talking about a lot backstage. So I said, Brittany, we're gonna bring it here to the live. But you were, or you diagnosed or suffered with an autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
Um, just tell us what that was and exactly what is that.
So at the age of 16, I got my first boil under my arm. And it was just the most painful thing. I've never experienced it in my life. I went to the emergency room. They drained it. What I mean by draining is they cut you open while you're awake and you feel everything.
Mm,
Okay. And so this boil at the time, they did not know what it was.
okay.
And so it kept coming back. And I
Mm,
kept getting it drained and it kept coming back. And at some point, they tried to say that it was MRSA. And so, oh, you have to be quarantined. Oh, da da da. And so, it took for me to go through the boils coming in my underarms. And now, not only were they in my underarms, they were now in my groin area.
wow.
And so, when I say groin area, I mean in your lady parts, okay? And
Okay.
so, these boils were big, almost the size of tennis balls.
Mm-hmm.
And they were so painful to the point sometimes you couldn't walk, you couldn't lift your arms, you couldn't do the normal things that a normal person could do. And at some point, I got diagnosed with hidradenitis suppurativa.
Okay.
And what hidradenitis suppurativa is, it's an autoinflammatory disease that affects the sweat glands in your body. And so
Mm,
what that means is anybody with this condition, their sweat glands are pretty much shot. And what I mean by that is like our underarms and our inner groin area has a lot of hair follicles, and hair follicles get infected a lot. So you might hear about like ingrown hairs. It's similar to that, but it's worse.
mm,
And so for us, it's a condition that has no cure, right? There's nothing that they can give you that could cure what we have. So we are constantly going to the hospital. We are paying 24/7. It's a chronic condition that thousands and millions of people today deal with.
mm.
Um, I started getting surgeries to the point where the emergency room was like, hey, there's nothing else we can do for you. We're going to refer you out to a surgeon. And so from there started my journey from the age of 18 to 32, where I
Wow.
was getting surgeries. And I'm currently 17 surgeries in.
Did
So I recently had my last two surgeries 4 weeks ago.
you-
And these are real live surgeries. They are putting you under anesthesia. They're cutting you open. They're leaving your wounds open. I mean, it's just gruesome. And the goal is to try to manage your symptoms, but not cure your symptoms.
oh,
So the reality is when we go into these surgeries, 9 out of 10, this condition will come back. And
mm,
so they thank God we're in a different time where they are coming out with different trials and different medications to help manage our condition, but it does not cure it. And most of the time, medication causes more problems than
yeah.
you went into it with. So um, at 32, I told the doctor, I said, listen, I have two beautiful children. I
Yes.
want a quality of life. I don't want to keep living in pain and feeling like every few months I'm gonna keep having surgeries. I'm at 17 and I'm tired. My body is worn. You get what I'm saying? Like there's so many times that you can keep getting cut before your
Right.
body gives out.
Yeah.
And so I didn't tell a lot of people this, but I'm actually scheduled for 5 more surgeries.
Wow.
But I took the paper that I got from the doctor and I put it in my Bible.
Mm,
And I am claiming that I will not have to get any more surgeries.
listen,
So I'm going to walk on faith
I
and
know.
have a small mustard seed of faith and believing that I will not have any more surgeries. But as of right now, I am on the books for 5 more. And I'm like, God, I know that you are able. I've seen you do it before. And so I'm going to trust him. I'm going to
Listen,
trust him.
we have Dr. Vaughn on here. She's one of our regulars. She is a minister. So, Dr. Vaughn, you know what to do. Yeah, listen, we have a lot of prayer warriors on here, and so you speak it, you put it in the atmosphere, right?
Absolutely.
And you, if you don't want any more surgeries,
Mm-hmm.
listen, God hears our prayers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and He will give us the strength to endure, right? He will give us the strength to endure. And so, listen, I'm just saying to all of my guests here tonight, listen, we're going to lift Brittney up in prayer for complete healing, right? We know, just like you said, and what doctors say is not it's not curable,
Mm-hmm.
but we serve Dr. Jesus, right?
Come on now. Yes, we do.
We serve Dr. Jesus, who can heal all matter of sickness and
Absolutely.
disease, right? And
Absolutely.
so I commend you for your strength. And I do want to ask a question in reference to your diagnosis.
Okay.
Is there anything like specifically that happens where you have a flare? Because I think about 17 surgeries, and I think about different diseases, especially ulcerative colitis, like they and Crohn's, right? They get these flares, and next thing you know, they're in a hospital. Is there something that you do so to prevent it, or that's just how it is?
So there's nothing you can do to prevent it. They always say you can lose weight, not smoke, not drink.
Mm,
That's the normal thing. Hydronitis it's a lot of people think that you can catch this. You can't catch this. It's not a
okay.
contagious condition. You
Okay.
can't get it from someone touching you. It's not a sexually transmitted condition. This is something that was in your makeup. And what I mean makeup is when you were born, this condition was in your blood. So
Okay.
we got it from a lot of us got it from someone in our family down the line. So
Okay.
it's genetically
Okay.
in your blood. And so there's really nothing you can do to get this. A lot of people don't normally start getting diagnosed until they hit puberty. Is
Okay.
when the hormones start to rage and start to shift. And a lot of times the flare ups come during women's time.
Okay.
And then what people don't realize is hydronitis is not just women. There
Uh,
are men who go through this. And I feel so bad for men. Like I feel bad for all of us, but I feel bad for men because men grow hair on their face, right? They grow hair on their head. And so I've seen people with the boils all over their face and their head, and it's so painful. And so there's nothing that can trigger. I mean, you can either eat something that can trigger it, or you could be about to come on your woman, moment that can trigger it. But there's not really much that you can do except for maybe take as hot as you can baths with some Epsom salt to try to get the boil to come to a softer um, point where it will bust on its own and drain naturally. And sometimes if that doesn't work, then you're back in the hospital getting it cut open.
okay. Um, oh my gosh. And I actually went online because I've never heard of it before. And thank you.
Mhm.
I'm learning some things tonight, but I also looked at some images. So when you said like the men with, both on their face and
Yep.
on their neck, I actually looked at some of the images.
Yep.
So again, I want to thank you for your strength, and going through this. But things like that, special illness or sickness, we go through mentally, and especially like with this disease, physically too. What are some of the things you do or you've done to kind of keep your mental and intact, so to speak? You know.
I always say that when I was going to church, my mom forced us to go to church. Okay, let's talk about that. And so my mom had us in church at a young age,
Okay.
and I was baptized at, I want to say 4 or 5. But when you accept God as your Lord and Savior, and
Yes.
you receive the Holy Spirit, you no longer operate in your own strength. And
Mhm.
so a lot of people look at my pictures and they see my Instagram and they
Yeah.
always see me smiling. And I always tell people that it's not me.
Yeah.
I'm so God's will you will see God, and I don't think people understand that you can see God in people, right? And so when you see someone going through hell and they're still pushing and they're still going, you're like, how are they not giving up yet? Because the
Right.
God I serve says
Yeah.
I'm not done yet. So um God is ultimately my source.
Yes.
There's nothing that I can tell you that helped me get through 17 surgeries but God.
Mm,
I didn't take no medicine. And the crazy part is, mentally, I was sane. I went
yeah.
through 17 surgeries and I was mentally sane. There was nothing wrong with me. I may have, depression here and there, but I had a couple of suicidal thoughts, but I'm still standing. I'm still here because of who God is.
Listen, God is a sustainer of our mind, our body, and
Yeah.
our soul. I honestly believe tonight, maybe we may not have people on here that's dealt with, any type of sickness. I know my sister's on here. She's had a major stroke. I think it was about 7 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and to kind of see her strength, But listen, my twin or my family, we grew up in church, and like you, my mom was like, "Y'all going to church?" We was going
They
out on
give us an
Saturday.
option.
y'all better be in church on Sunday.
Right. And don't fall asleep because you're getting pinched. No, I'm messing with
But at the same time, she was, allowing us to build a foundation in Christ
Mhm.
and to get
Mhm.
to know him for ourselves
Yeah.
and accept him as our personal savior as well. And so when we further in life and like now today, the things that we've gone through and gone through again, I always go back to my scripture. God knows the plans that he has for us. And God knows exactly what he's doing. And
Yeah.
so when you accepted the invitation to come on, I was like, oh my gosh. Because I stalk her Instagram because I want to see what picture she puts up next. Right.
Yeah.
Um, Again, but I always say there's a story behind the face. And this is Brittney's Instagram, everybody. You can let's screenshot it, go on there and see all of her wonderful, wonderful, wonderful photos. Professional. She's a professional model. And we're going to move away from this, but I do want to ask a question because HS is it's physical too. Like we just talked about, balls could be on your face, your head.
Yeah.
Um, was there ever a time, because we're about to talk about her modeling career,
Mhm.
um, was there ever a time, because these things can be physical and maybe not for people to see,
Mhm.
was there ever a time like you worried about like your physical appearance today?
Yeah. I have moments, even now, I still, um, like if you look at my arms look different than everybody else's because I had plastic surgery done. My inner thighs look different. And so I wouldn't wear bathing suits, certain bathing suits, because I had a fear of being looked at like a monster. And I always say hydronitis doesn't have a face. It doesn't have, you can't look at someone and say, oh, they have hydronitis, right? So our sickness is under our clothes, unless you get them on your face. But a
Yeah,
lot of people they don't have signs of having hydronitis. So I could hide behind clothes. I could put on clothes and you wouldn't even know I had hydronitis until I told you. And I think that I got to a point around after losing my mom where I said, no more hiding, no more
okay.
fear. Watching her very sick in the ICU, and she ultimately took her last breath. I went through the whole process with her. I think it made me realize, like, you know what? You got one life to live. You have those two kids in that house. You're either gonna die trying to survive a condition, or you're going to live through it.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I made a choice that I was going to be the boldest I had ever been in my life, and I was going to enter the modeling industry, scars
yeah.
and all.
Listen, girl, come on now. I can relate because, we were talking and you was asking me some questions about my diagnosis. Diagnosed at cancer at age 3.5. Then by age 4, wound up because of the cancer having ostomy surgery. So I have ostomy bags I've had since the age of 3 years old. And two, like I kept it a secret, didn't want anybody to know because I didn't want anybody to judge me. Nobody could see, my bags because under my clothes. But what I discovered is our story is our story.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell our story like we can, but I do believe that some secrets hurt. And
Yes.
um I believe telling my story, like the devil couldn't use it against me anymore,
That
right?
part.
And like you said, you're coming out now, you're talking about it. You got to the modeling industry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I said, you know what? Us different makes us beautiful, right? We're
Yeah.
all different in our own way. But tell me about your mom here. How did you start it? Why did you get started?
So losing my mom was the key of why I started, because I didn't want to die being sick. I wanted to, if I was going to go, I was going to go knowing that I did everything that I could in my power to live. And
Okay.
so I started my first runway show 3 weeks, 2 weeks after my mom passed. I reached out to a brand called Tight Fisted Fashion.
Okay.
And Sakira, she put me in her fashion show.
Yes.
And she's an amazing friend and sister. She
Yes.
came to the hospital when I was sick. So shout my girl out because she was there for me. She came through for your girl. But she put me in my first fashion show. And I was so nervous. And all these pro models. And I was just like, oh, what am I doing? And so from my first fashion show, I started to shoot. I met this amazing photographer by the name of Daniel Beasley,
Hmm.
who not only treated me like a human being, but he saw potential in me. And he treated me with so much love. And he really took me under his wing. And I've been shooting with this man for the past 2 years. He has been my main photographer.
Yeah.
And it takes for you to experience a good photographer, because I've had a few choice of bad ones,
Mm-hmm.
that makes you want to say, I can do this. I can really do this, right? So I started doing photo shoots and I started doing shows, and I did that for about a year of doing free shows, no pay. The most I would get was probably a slap. Good job, buddy. It was a lot of good jobs, and you did
Yeah.
that, and maybe a few posts on Instagram. And then I remember God instilled in me boldness. And so
Yeah.
I reached out to this brand in New York. Did
Uh,
not know this lady from a can of paint, but I reached out to Ashanta Beauty in New York. And I hit her in the DM. I said, "Hey girl, listen, I'm Brittney. I'm a model. I would love to model for your brand. If you can or can't, let me know." Right? So I sent that to her in the DM, and that DM sat for a few months.
yeah.
And I never checked it again, because I said, what's for me? I'm planting a seed, right? And
Uh,
so I'm gonna allow that seed to grow. And I won't be worried and fearful that she's gonna reject me. And so, God willing, this lady reached back out to me and she said, "Hey Brittney, absolutely. Let's get you to New York. I have some stuff coming up, and I would love for you to model for my brand."
wow.
Ashanta Beauty is one of she's amazing. She's everywhere. She's in stores. She's on a TV. She's in magazines. And
Yeah.
so, for someone like that, a CEO of a big brand in New York, to
Come on.
see someone as small as little old me and have the ambition and the fearlessness to text or DM anyone and say, "Hey, look, I'm a new model. I'm really good at what I do, but if you can and if you can't, give me an opportunity." And this lady sent me to New York, all paid expense trip.
Come
I
on.
mean, transportation was covered. I got my model fee, and they fed me, and they treated me right. And I try not to get emotional, because I don't think people realize it takes that one thing
Yeah.
to really elevate your resume. No matter what you're doing, it's always that one thing that's going to
Yeah.
really make you stand out. And
Yeah.
so, once I started getting paid in New York, I kept getting paid in New York. So she was calling me again to work. And then I started working with other brands. And so I started getting paid. So now I went from an amateur model to a
Yeah.
professional model. And so now I'm getting paid to pay the bills and
I
feed my
know that's
children.
right.
Get what I'm saying? And so
Okay.
I say all that to say, sometimes you have to work for free for a short period of time
Yes.
to build character,
Yes.
build willpower, to be able to withstand when God blesses you with something bigger. You
Mm.
know that it came from Him.
Listen.
Because there were times where I was working for free and I said, "God, I don't know what you're doing for me, but I'm going to withstand the storm right now." I couldn't pay my bills and I was barely struggling. But God said, "Now that I have seen that you have been a servant for me and you have kept your faith, I'm going to bless you with something bigger." And so I thought going to New York would have been something bigger, but then
Yeah.
I got booked on Amazon. And so your girl's face is now on Amazon. But
Amazon.
then he
Yeah.
said, "I'm going to bless you some more." And I've been on TV 3 times. So what I say is, sometimes you got to weather the storm to get to where God has you. And you're like questioning God, like, "Come on, God, I didn't work 5 shows for free. What you want me to do?" And God is saying, "Trust me a little bit longer.
Yes.
And what you think might blow your mind, I'm about to blow your mind even more." And so God has blown my mind tremendously. I'm a little orphan that nobody wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Now my face is on Amazon.
Now,
I'm
come on,
on TV.
Lord mercy.
Like,
I always have
what?
my tissue ready, right?
What? An
Because
orphan that nobody wanted? But God will be, and I'm trying not to preach, God would be a mother to the motherless. And God would be a father to the fatherless. And when you feel abandoned, God took my hand and said, trust me a little bit longer. You're going to have to go through some things,
yeah,
but I'm going to bring you out of this thing so that
yeah,
somebody can glory out of your story. I'm sorry.
that's all
But I
right.
just need somebody to know that God is working on your story. It might not feel like it right now, but you got to trust and believe that in the end, it's going to all work out in your good. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm sorry. I'm
So,
about to cry tonight.
while you preaching on here, Dr. Vaughn is preaching in the
I'm
comments.
sorry.
When you are faithful over a few things, God will make you ruler over many. And she also said, plant the seed for your harvest. Listen, Brittney, we know how this industry can be, right?
Yeah.
It could be a fickle business, and we were talking before about how we got to be careful about this. Even you talked about the photographers, all sorts of things, the people you're around when you go into these model calls and castings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Said, I got you, I got your back, right? And we wonder, like, God, why did I have to go through the storms to get to the sunshine, right? And I believe He has to teach us some things. He has to show us some things. Some disappointments might come, but that's okay. That's a part of how He's growing us and maturing us in this industry, right? And so, listen, you can preach all you want. You can preach all you want, because like you said, it might take that one door to open, but then behind that door is another door, right? Behind that door is another door,
Yeah.
right? But God puts us in those places like that. He
Yeah.
does that. It's so amazing. We have a church tonight, y'all. We ain't gonna sorry. Okay. We're talking to Brittney. Um Brittney Booze. Brittney Booze. And we're just talking about, listen, we didn't got into modeling, but we didn't talk about the goodness of the Lord, right? And so I done lost my daggone train of thought. I want to ask Brittney, because God said we are a peculiar people, right? And I want to relate it to this industry. What do you bring, right? What do you bring? What do you bring to this industry?
Um, I'm always honest about everything in my life. I'm very transparent.
Yeah,
I bring a humble soul
yeah.
who's been through hell,
Mm,
but there's nothing that I can't withstand without my source.
mm,
And so I go into every booking asking God to decrease me so that He can increase. And so that they will see God within me.
yeah.
And if I can talk to at least one person at every booking, whether it's to pray with them, and sometimes I'm like, "God, listen, I know we about to walk on this runway, and I don't know who you believe in, but we're going to pray real quick." And so next thing you know, every model is grabbing hands and we're praying. And I believe that God will position you. And it's not for your I feel like God is getting the glory out of my life.
Yeah.
Right? I really feel like God put me in a position to be able to spread His word. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to these shows and I'm like, let me tell you about God. But it's small moments when you have those moments when you're sitting down before a show and you see the models are anxious and everybody's starting to get a little bit fatigued because they're waiting. A lot of times
Yeah,
they're waiting a lot. And you have to remind them that if it wasn't for God, we wouldn't be here, right?
yeah,
Opportunities would not be possible, bookings would not be possible. And a lot of times we want to take credit for what we have.
mm,
Oh, I'm on Amazon because I put the work in. I used to be like that, but now I know that I am nothing
uh,
without God. I am nothing. None of this is possible without the source, because the source has the resources to get me to where I need to be. So when I bring to the table, I bring authenticity, I bring brokenness. I'm honest with you. I
yeah.
come scarred up,
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm,
it does not make me any less qualified than the next model.
mm-hmm.
If anything, I'm working harder.
Right. And we were talking about knowing your worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, God, and we know God don't make no junk, right?
Mm-mm.
And so we were talking about our self worth, but that's something that God instilled in us. Even we had to go through what we went through. It
Absolutely.
had to, right?
It's your
Um,
cross to carry. You got to, everybody's son got something they got to carry. You
absolutely.
ain't getting away scot free. He died for our sins. What do you expect? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now.
But and I want to I want you. I don't know if you can see the comments,
I can't.
but
Mm-mm.
Dr. Vaughn, again, she's one of our residents. She speaks often on Talk Tuesday. When she comes on again, you have to be on there because she's speaking stuff. She's speaking some things now to you.
Okay.
Um, One thing she wants you, and we'll talk about this offline. She wants you to send her your address.
Okay.
Send you some oil.
Okay.
Um, okay, all right. Because I anoint myself before I talk, but she send you some oil. She's on here. She's talking about Brittney, it's time to write a book. Your story is need to break someone out of their bondage of fear due to abandonment, to
Yeah.
help them know that it wasn't rejection, it was protection.
Come
God's
on.
hand favor is on your life, and you are ministering through experience. It's
Hmm.
time to release the next level of you in spirit. See, they y'all getting stuff started on here, and we just coming back from break.
Oh
Talk
my
Tuesday. Dr. Vaughn is she's a very, very close friend. She actually did my merch. But she speaks life. And I believe if you're going through and you're speaking life into people, you
God. Yeah.
know, like you say, going to castings and prayer, you know what I mean? And just being committed and diligent, right? But also being obedient to what
Yeah.
God is telling you to do,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And God was like, listen, I'm going to open some more doors because I need you to minister in this show. I'm going to open
Hmm.
this door because I might need you to model to this, minister to this model, right?
Hmm.
And so God uses us how he wants to use us,
Hmm.
right? And so even in this industry, right? Doesn't matter where we are, what industry we in, God still, and it's something my sister said here, like we are a chosen vessel, right? Come on, Earlene, that's my twin sister. Go ahead, talk, girl. But we are a chosen vessel, right?
Hmm.
God is using us for his glory, right?
Right.
For his glory.
Hmm.
And it's amazing when you have the Lord on your side. Um
Hmm.
and we have Cheryl said obedience is the key. And again, I stalked Brittney, and Brittney, listen, she's done some things, okay. One of them is you had your first big booking with a celebrity stylist, Jay Bolin. Do y'all know Jay Bolin, right? He is a celebrity stylist. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, look at Brittney.
You
I
know, it's
say,
so funny. I remember seeing Jay Bolin post a model call flyer, and he's pretty popular, so he gets thousands and thousands of models who wanted to model for him.
mm-hmm.
But when I say God picks the right timing to put you into place, I
Ooh,
remember I submitted my stuff and I didn't think much of it because most of the time, people like that get thousands of
yeah.
submissions.
Mm-hmm.
This man handpicked every model and he handpicked me. And it blew my mind because I never believed that I was good enough.
Ooh,
I didn't believe I was good enough to model for someone like that. I
yeah,
had been doing the DMV for a while and I wasn't really getting really big bookings. And then it's almost like God said, they don't see you, but they're going to see you now.
yeah, yeah.
You were broken, you were abandoned. And so, you know, the Chris Brown song where they say, look at me now.
Yes.
Yeah, my life took off after that. I got so many bookings.
Mm-hmm.
I had so many connections, but he was such a sweetheart in person.
Wow.
The way he loved on us, the way he really made us feel seen.
Yeah.
And I remember crying at the end of the booking because I had never walked in front of 7,500 people in my life. It was the most amazing feeling because
Yeah.
it was like God putting me out in the front and saying, my child, you
Mm,
have endured enough. You have
mm,
been through enough.
mm.
Now is your time to shine. And so I want to be honest with people and tell them just because my story is successful does not mean that I don't still have to carry a cross. Doesn't mean that God still doesn't test me.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I don't lose faith and I don't talk to God sometimes. There are
Yeah.
times when I'm so angry at him. I'm like, God, I'm not talking to you today. I don't want to talk right now.
Pray.
So after losing, like what? Even after losing my mom, I got silent on God. I didn't understand
Yeah.
because it was the first person in my life of 30 years I had ever lost. I had never lost anyone close to me. So I didn't understand grief. I didn't understand it. And so after losing my mom and all these great things were happening in the modeling industry, all I can do, there were times where I can just fall to my knees and just cry because words weren't enough to just
Yeah.
tongues. There's not so many. I don't have enough tongues in my mouth right now
Yes.
to thank God for all that He has done for me from the moment that I was born. I was born at 5 pounds and 1 ounce, really premature, sick. I had jaundice. I had to stay in the hospital. God held my hand and had my back from the moment I breathed my first breath. And he still got my back. And so he still tests me, and I'm like, God, come on now. But he's an amazing God. And who wouldn't want to serve a God like that?
Oh, I know. Listen, I know. Listen.
He's so good to me. Like, who wouldn't want to serve? You know, like what?
Okay. Okay. And we all always say this, if we haven't gone through a test, we don't have a testimony, and God is so, I mean, it is. If I had 10,000 tongues, I couldn't thank him enough.
No.
I thank him enough,
No.
I want to ask, this is something that I do a lot. I do a lot of reflection,
Mhm.
whether it's what happened yesterday or whether it's 3 years old when I was diagnosed with cancer and growing bags. And, I like to reflect because what it does is it shows me how far God has brought me. I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh. When you think about it, your reflection, being abandoned, foster, homeless, group homes, when you reflect, and oftentimes people don't want to relive or they don't want to revisit the past or that period in their life. Like I said, reflection helps me, right?
Right.
Puts me in a place of gratefulness and thankfulness. When you reflect back, like where does that put you? Where does it put your mind? What does that put you at? What do you think about when you think back?
When I think back, I say, why not me?
Mm, mm.
Why
I
not me?
go oversee you.
Why not me? Right? I think sometimes when we're in the midst of our storms, we say, why me, God? Why am I going through this?
Yeah,
Why? But why not me?
yeah, yeah.
There's this thing I posted on Instagram, and it said they thought that they buried you, but they didn't know that you were a seed.
Come on.
And so, why not me?
Yeah. Yes.
Everything that I went through, I was in the soil. I was
Mm,
growing. I was
mm.
getting watered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything, every test that I passed, I
Yeah.
was growing, right? There's a tree, we got trees and they have roots. And
Mm-hmm.
so the roots are slowly spreading out. Everything that I was going through, this tree was slowly growing. And then God finally allowed that little bud to come through the dirt. And you got to say, why not me? Why
Yeah.
not me? What you mean? Now I'm not a bud anymore. I'm a whole tree out here. You hear me?
Yes. Come,
Like what?
come
I'm
on.
I'm standing firm. My roots are strong.
Those
Why
branches,
not me?
those branches start to sprout out.
Why not me? And guess what? That tree produced fruit.
Absolutely.
And the fruit that my beautiful children are my fruit. They are I'm a single mom, but they
Yeah.
are fruit and they are going to be more than I am, better than I am. And guess what? They won't be in the system because why not me?
Yeah.
God took me from everything. I was the baby on my parents' side, and I was the only one in the system.
Mm.
Why not me? He chose me for a reason because in the seasons that I was going through, he was just watering me, watering me, watering me. So that way, now when things bother me, I'm like, okay, you know who my God is.
God, come on. What
You
else
know
you
these bills. I don't know how these bills gonna be paid, but do you know who the God I serve? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not me? Why not me? Like, what you mean? So when I reflect, that is my reflection. I say, hold on 1 second. Get the headphone back in. Why not me?
Yeah.
Why not me? I had to go through it so that way somebody else can see me in them and say, if she can do it, I
Yeah.
can do it.
And Brittany,
Yeah.
I to because I think people still need to be educated, about your diagnosis, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just a little advice. Just you maybe talk about it a little bit more, on your Instagram or your stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, often people look at us, right?
Yeah.
You can y'all. I got it. Wait a minute. Let me put it up here. Go on Brittany's Instagram.
Thank y'all. I
Well,
can't see the comments, but hey, y'all.
I want to go on Instagram too, because she has a link tree. And if you go on her link tree, you will see like the interviews she's done with magazines. You will see other things she's done. Go on there and just like me be nosy, okay? But go on there and see the wonderful
Oh my God.
that she's done, and she's it's more. Of course, we know there's more God has in store for you. But Brittany, you're just making me listen. I ain't never like lose my train of thought because we on and
God
no.
is in the room.
No, guys, but I want you to go on her Instagram and just kind of see like the wonderful things. But to get back to what I was saying, I would like to see more. We see your story in the magazines. Let's bring it to Instagram, right? Because this is what I say. You never know what people are going through, right? We don't know people's story, but it could be that one person online that's going online to look at your pictures or see, what you're up to, right? But if they can, just let me see what is it else? Else is it about her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of came out of my shell, right? Start talking about more about my story, and so I would like to see more of that because I want people to be educated as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think that I've had a few speaking engagements where I kind of spoke about my condition.
yeah.
And so God had put into my spirit about a few years ago to be a public speaker, to be a keynote speaker, to go out and speak and encourage people. But I was God, like, how can I encourage somebody when I'm broken? And so even in my brokenness, this is a great conversation to have. And I think it's confirmation for me to keep going, keep talking,
Well,
um,
Brittany,
write a book, start a
Brittany,
podcast, something.
you're speaking and ministering here on Talk Tuesday,
Yeah.
right? You don't, to me, and I am a public speaker, inspiration, motivational speaker.
Hmm.
Um, there's no type of degree. I tell my story, right? Nobody can tell your story like you can, right?
Hmm.
You are your public speaker right now.
Yes. Yes. Come on now. Come on.
These are the things that this is what God is doing. He's opening this door, and I'm very, very thankful that you are here tonight. I really, really am thankful tonight because we could just keep on going on. But we're gonna end it tonight. Thank you everybody for coming on Talk Tuesday and just listening to Brittany Minister. Okay, because that's what I'm gonna say. Listening to Brittany minister to herself, to you all. We thank you for your y'all. Those comments was coming in, Brittany.
Oh,
But
hi y'all.
um, I never delete my lives because people maybe can't make it on tonight. They can always go back and listen to it. It is on YouTube as well. I see all the viewers on tonight, so we appreciate you all. Thank you for your support, Brittany. I appreciate you so much coming on tonight, and
Thank you.
honestly speaking to our soul.
Yeah.
You know, given that, and Talk Tuesday is about inspiration, motivation, and empowerment.
Environment.
And
Right.
so I thank you for being open, being transparent tonight. This won't be, of course, the last you'll hear from me. And so we're going to get you and Dr. Vaughn connected together, something that she wants to bless you with.
Hmm.
Um, we're going to make sure that happens. This is how I always end my show with my guests. Um, I'm going to ask you, Brittany, where do you go from here? And what advice would you give not just people that wants to start modeling, but what advice and what encouragement can you leave our viewers tonight? Where are you going from here? What's going on?
I'm going wherever God is taking me. I have no plans. God has the whole book in his hands, so I'm trusting him. I'm riding this ride until the wheels fall off. But I would leave with you tonight. Trouble doesn't last always.
Okay.
And if you're going through something right now, just know that it won't last always. God is pruning you. God is pruning you, and you are going to come out this thing swinging. So you
Victorious.
hold on, You keep fighting, you keep pushing, you get up another day. I know there's times when you don't feel like you want to get up. You keep going and know that Brittney said trouble doesn't last always and sunshine will be. It won't rain all the time. It can't rain all the time. And so in the small moments where you feel a little bit more energized and you feel like you can keep going, you keep praying and asking God to give you the strength when you have none. And so I leave with you today to know that why not you? Why not you? God is preparing you for something greater, and greater is coming, and everything attached to you. Some great things are happening. So hold on, keep praying, keep fasting,
Yes.
and keep allowing God to move in your life like He's never moved before. A
Mm,
small seed, a small mustard seed of faith can get you so far.
like this.
Just small,
Like,
small.
so, Brittney, please stay backstage for me for just a few.
Absolutely. Bye,
Um,
y'all.
so again, we thank you for coming on tonight, and I'll get back to you in a few minutes. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
you're
Okay.
welcome.
Woohoo! Listen, to God be the glory. To God be the glory. Um, wow, we're just coming back from our break. Outbreak from Talk Tuesday. This is our first show of the season. This is season 6, and it has been a blessing tonight, right? Always anoint and pray. I anoint my ears, I anoint my eyes, I anoint my mouth, that God will have his way each week with Talk Tuesday. And I pray for the guest as well. And so it has been a blessing tonight. It has been a blessing, a blessing. First, of course, I give God the glory for giving me the vision of Talk Tuesday. I thank you all for your support. I thank you all for your support. You come on, you listen, you learn, you give comments. And so I really, really do appreciate that. Talk Tuesday has been a blessing. I'm looking for God to open more doors. I got all these lights around here. I bought a new laptop, and so as God upgrade me, I'm going to upgrade too. So again, I thank you so much for joining Talk Tuesday. I do want to, let's see where we are. Here we go. So on next week we have Tanya Kelly will be on Talk Tuesday on next week. And so please join me next week, 7:30, same place, same time. And so Tanya will come on to share her amazing story, testimony, journey. She's an advocate. She's involved in a nonprofit, but you have to. I want you to listen to her story, and listen. I want you all to come back, okay? So again, I thank you so much for joining Talk Tuesday. It has been a blessing. And Vaughn, I will get you connected with Brittney. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. David, hey, how you doing? Yeah, please rewatch. I don't delete any of these Talk Tuesdays, so go back. Listen, if you would like to be a guest on Talk Tuesday, you can send me a DM and let me know. We'll talk briefly. We'll get you on Talk Tuesday, right? Again, Talk Tuesday is about inspiration, motivation, and empowerment. If you're an author, if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to share your story, your testimony, whatever it is, get in contact with me. You can send me a DM, or for anybody that has my phone number, you can send me a text or call me, right? And so again, I thank our new viewers. We had new viewers. Whether you came on to see Brittney, you're new. And so again, I appreciate you coming on tonight with Talk Tuesday and supporting us. And so we're gonna be doing some bigger things with Talk Tuesday. And so again, thank you all so much for your support. Listen, we're going to see you next Tuesday, okay? You'll see a flyer again of our next guest. So good night. Please have a good evening. Say your prayers before you go to sleep. Okay, that's it. Listen, y'all. This joy I have, the world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away, right? And so, um, I thank you all again so much. So, good night. Peace.